Shalom, Shalom, Shabbat Adonai. Welcome to the Sixth Exodus program. Thank you for listening. The name of this segment is Part 2, The Five Children of Adam and Eve, and the conclusion. Before we get started, I want to say that concerning Cain, if you're a little bit fuzzy about who is actually who Cain is, well, let's start with Ham. Okay, Ham had four children. Okay, stay with me, all right? He had four children. Okay, the four children are Put, Canaan, Mizraim, and Cush. Okay, now I want to say that again and say who are these people in our day today. Okay, Put is Libya, which is in Africa. Canaan today are modern day Philistines. But the modern day Philistines, Canaanites, are also Americans. This is where American people come from. Also, England, they came from the Philistines. Um, Mizraim, which is modern day Egypt, which is in the Middle East, and Cush, which is modern day Ethiopia. Now, concerning the Philistines, which is Canaan, these are the same Canaan that killed his brother Abel. Same people, okay? Canaan. These are albino white people, okay? I mean, albino black people, albino Africans, and that's where they get their skin complexions. These these people that are called Canaan or Philistines, same people out of Jordan, same people that came out of Syria and Assyria, America, and England, same people. And sad to say, also the Chinese people, they have most of their heritage out of the Philistines also, but they're mixed with our race as far as black people. It's where they get their physique, their broad nose and thick lips. They're not African. Chinese people are Hebrew, but they intermingled with the Philistines. At that time, the people called Canaanites or Canaan. Okay, I will tell you more about them in this second segment that we're going to begin. Okay, you might want to get you a big glass of water because these things have been hidden for many years. Well, not hidden, but concealed and covered by people who are Canaanites or Canaan, which are the Palestinians, Jordan, all the people that are mentioned in Psalms 83. Most of all those people, same people. That's how the PLO, the Palestinian Liberation Organization, came out of Jordan. There, there are no such thing as a people out of. They have been struggling with Israel or the Jewish people for 2,000 years. Neither one of them has been in Israel for 2,000 years. The Jewish people didn't go there until 1948. They may have had a few people there from the tribe of Esau, Maybe, but there's no proof of that. Um, and the people of Jordan, uh, the Hasmonite, which are they're supposed to be descendants of Ishmael, but you can never tell because what they're worshiping and who they're worshiping and what they're doing these days. It's a shame and a pity. Okay, now let's continue. And when the building of the roof was completed, he commanded to the offerings. They worked diligently and brought them to Seth their father, who took them and offered them upon the altar, and prayed God to accept their offering, to have mercy on the souls of his children, and to keep them from the hand of Satan. God accepted his offering and sent his blessing on him and on his children. Then God made a promise to Seth, saying, at the end of the great 5 days and a half which I have promised, I have made to you and your father, I will send my word and save you and your seed. That's black people, which are called today black Americans. Okay, that's the seed that he's talking about. And Seth and his children and his grandchildren met together and came down from the altar and went to the cave of treasures, where they prayed, and he blessed them and the body of their father Adam, and anointed them with it. But Seth stayed in the cave of treasures for a few days, and then suffering to death. Then Enoch, his firstborn son, came to him with Canaan, his son, and Mahalalel, Canaan's son, and Jared, the son of Mahalalel, and Enoch, Jared's son, and their wives and their children to receive a blessing from Seth. Then Seth prayed over them and blessed them, and earnestly requested them by the blood of Abel and the just, saying, I beg of you, my children, not to let one of you go down from this holy and pure mountain. Do not associate with the children of Cain, the murderers and the sinners who killed his brother. You know, my children, that we flee from him and from all his sin and all our might, because he killed his brother. After having been said this, Seth blessed Enoch, his firstborn son, and commanded him to minister continually in purity before the body of their father Adam all the days of his life. He also made him promise to go at times to the altar which he had built, and he commanded them to feed his people in righteousness, in judgment, and in purity all the days of his life. Then Seth's limbs went limp, his hands and feet lost all strength, his voice became silent and unable to speak, and he gave up the ghost and died. Seth died the day after the 912th year, on the 27th day of the month of Abib, Enoch being Enoch being 20 years old. Then they carefully wrapped up the body of Seth and embalmed him with sweet spices and laid him in the cave of treasures on the right side of his father Abraham, Adam, and they mourned for him 40 days. They offered gifts for him, and they had done for their father Adam. After the death of Seth, Enos was risen to the head of his people, whom he fed in righteousness and judgment, as his father had commanded him. But by the time Enos was 880 years old, Cain had a very large number of offsprings, because they had sex, married, often given to animal lust, until the land below the mountain was filled with them. Lamech was blind in those days. He was one of the sons of Cain. He had a son whose name was Atun, and the two of them had many cattle. Lamech was in the habit of sending them to graze with a young shepherd who tended them. He was coming home in the evening when he went with his grandfather. His father Atun and his mother Hazanah, and he wept, and he said unto them, I cannot feed those cattle alone, or someone may rob me of them, or kill me, so they can take them, because among the children of Cain there was a lot of robbery, murder, and sin. Then Lamech pitched him and said, You may be correct. When you are alone, you might be overpowered by men of this place. Lamech arose, took a bow he had kept ever since he was in his youth, before he became blind, and he took long arrows and the smooth stones and a sling which he had, and he went to the field with a young shepherd, and placed himself behind the cattle, while the young shepherd watched the cattle. Lamech did this for many days. Meanwhile, ever since God had cast off and had cursed them, with trembling and fear, Cain could not be still, nor find rest in any one place, so he wandered from place to place. In his wandering, he came to Lamech, his wives, and asked them about them. They said unto him, He is in the field with the cattle. Then Cain took to look for him, and as he went into the field, the young shepherd heard the noise he made, and the cattle herding together in front of him. Then said he to Lamech, My lord, is that a wild beast or a robber? And Lamech said unto him, Tell me, where is he when he comes up? Then Lamech bent his bow, placed an arrow on it, and fitted a stone in the sling. And when Cain came out of the open country, the shepherd said, Lamech, shoot, behold, he is coming. Then Lamech shot Cain with his arrow, and hit him in his side. And Lamech struck him with a stone with his sling, and the stone struck his face and knocked out both of his eyes. Then Cain fell dead instantly. Then Lamech and the young shepherd came up to him and found him lying on the ground. And the young shepherd said unto him, It is our grandfather, Cain, whom you have killed, my lord. Then Lamech grieved and bitterness regret. And he clapped his hands together and struck the young lad with his front palm. And the youth fell dead also. But Lamech thought the youth was pretending. So he took up a stone and struck him and smashed his head until dead. When Enoch was 900 years old, all the children of Seth and of Canaan and his firstborn, with their wives and children, gathered around him, asking for a blessing from him. Then they prayed over them and blessed them, and he made them promise them by the blood of Abel the just, saying to them, Do not let even one of your children go down from this mountain, and do not let them make friends with the children of Cain, the murderer. Then Enoch called his son Canaan, and said unto him, Look, my son, and set your heart on your people, and establish them in righteousness and in innocence, and stand ministering before the body of our father Adam all the days of your life. After this, Enoch rested. Enoch died. He was 985 years old. Canaan wrapped him up and laid him in a cave of treasures on the left of his father Adam, and made offerings for him, following the customs of their fathers. After the death of Enos, Canaan led his people in righteousness and innocence, as his father commanded him. He also continued to minister before the body of Adam in the cave of treasures. Then, when he lived 910 years, suffering and sickness came upon him, and when he was about to enter into his rest, died. All the fathers with their wives and children came to him, and he blessed them, and earnestly urged them by the blood of Abel the just, saying unto them, Let no one among you descend from this holy mountain, and do not make friends with the children of Cain, the murderer. Mahalalel, his firstborn son, received these commandments from his father, who blessed him and died. Then Mahalalel embalmed him with sweet spices, and laid him in a cave of treasures with his fathers, and they made offerings for him as the ways and customs of their fathers. Then Mahalalel led his people and fed them in righteousness and in innocence, and watched them to see they had no relationships with the children of Cain. Also continued in the cave of treasures, praying and ministering before the children of their father Adam, asking God for mercy on himself and on his people, until he was 870 years old, when he fell sick. Then all his children gathered around him to see him and to ask for his blessings on them, all before he left this world. Then Mahalalel arose and sat on his bed, his tears streaming down his face. And he called his oldest son Jared, who came to him, and then he kissed his face and said unto him, Jared, my son, I solemnly urge you by him who made heaven and earth to watch over your people and to feed them in righteousness, in innocence, and not to let even one of them go down this holy mountain to the children of Cain, or he will punish them. Hear, my son, there will come a great destruction upon this earth. Because of them, God will be angry with the world and will destroy them with waters. But I also know your children will not listen to you, and that they will go down from this mountain and have relations with the children of Cain, and that they shall perish with them. My son, teach them and watch over them, so that no guilt will be on you because of them. Mahalalel continued saying to his son Jared, when I die, embalm my body and lay it in the caves of treasures by the bodies of my fathers. Send my body and pray to God and take care of them and fulfill your ministry before them until you enter into your rest yourself. Mahalalel then blessed all the children. Then he lay down on his bed and entered into the rest like his fathers. But when Jared saw his father Mahalalel was dead, he wept and grieved and embraced and kissed his hand and his feet. And so did all his children and his children's children, embalmed him carefully and laid him by the bodies of their fathers. Then they stood and mourned for him 40 days. He said also in his heart, the children of Cain cannot come up to the height of this mountain, and none of them are as handsome as those appear to be. And among those men there is not one of my kindred, so they must be strangers. Then Jared exchanged a greeting with them and said to the oldest of them, my father, tell me how you were so wonderful, and tell me whose these are with you. They look to me like strangers. Then the oldest began to weep, and the rest weep with him. And he said unto Jared, I am Adam's I am Adam, whom God made first, and this is Abel, my son, who was killed by his brother Cain, whose heart was influenced by Satan to murder. And this is my son Seth, whom I asked Lord to give me to comfort me when I had no longer had Abel. This one is my son Enos, son of Seth, and that other one is Canaan, son of Enos, and that over there is Mahalalel, son of Canaan, your father. But Jared remained wondering at their appearance and at the words of the elders to them. Then the oldest said unto him, do not stand there in awe, my son. We now live in the land north of the garden which God created before the world. He would not let us live there, but placed us inside the garden below, which you are now living. After I transgressed, he made me come out of it, and I was left to live in a cave. That was when great and horrible troubles came on. Okay, let's pause here for a moment and let's do a quick assessment here. Okay, during this time, in the time of Jared, okay, now remember, 12 tribes are not established. Um, Noah has not been born. Now, Noah is the son of Lamech, that's true, but Noah has not been born. Okay, so Noah was the first albino recorded. Okay, so just doing a fact check here. Okay, so these people here are living on the earth at this time, during the time of Jared, are Cain, the descendants of Cain. Okay, most likely are what is called Canaan, which are descendants of Canaan, which is the son where it said, "Cursed be thou Canaan." Okay, which are today modern day um, modern day Palestinians, and the people in the Middle East. They are mostly white people, but they're not white people as far as the heritage and culture is concerned, but they are of the same sect. The Chinese intermingled with them, which were Hebrew. But as I said, the 12 tribes of Israel has not been established at this time, nor has the covenant of Abraham been established, nor the Tower of Babel, nor the flood. Okay, so this is where we are in this time, during the time of Jared. Now we also know that during the time of Jared, that the angels, the watchers, looked down and had relationships with the daughters of men. Okay, on Mount Hermon. Okay, you see the mounts? You understand the mounts? That the people of God was on the mountain, and then the people that was on the valley that was down was the people. Okay, so Mount, we're on the Mount, Mount Hermon, during the time of Jared. Okay, so you follow me? You with me now? Okay, Mount Hermon, on the Mount Hermon is where they are, where the children of God are located, on Mount Hermon. And the valley, down in the valley of Mount Hermon, is a lake called Lake Ram. Okay, this is in the land that was called Sennaser. Okay, between Abel's Jail and Lebanon. Okay, modern day Lebanon. Okay, let's continue. And when the time of my death draw near, I commanded my son Seth to tend his people well, and my commandments is to be handled from one to another and to the end of the generations to come. But Jared, my son, who lived in beautiful regions, while you live in here in misery. Your father, Mahalalel, informed me that a great flood would come and overwhelm the whole earth. Therefore, my son, fearing for your sake, I arose and took the children with me and came here to visit you and your children. I found you standing in this cave weeping, and your children scattered about the mountain in the heat of this misery. But my son, as we missed our way and came as far as this, we found another man below this mountain who inhabited a beautiful country full of trees and of fruits and all manner of lush green vegetation. It is like a garden. When we found them, we thought they were you until your father, Mahalalel, told me they were not so they were not such thing. Now, my son, listen to my advice and go down to them, you and your children. You will rest from all your suffering you are in. If you will not go down to them, then arise, take your children, and come with us to our garden. There you shall live in our beautiful land, and you shall rest from all your trouble, which you and your children are now living in. But when they heard these words, the oldest, Jared, was confused and went here and there. But at the moment he found none of his children. Then he answered and said unto the old one, why have you hidden yourselves until these days? And the oldest replied, if your father had not told me, we would not have known it. Then Jared believed his words were true, so that the oldest said to Jared, wherefore did you turn about? So and so that oldest said to Jared, I am seeking my children to tell them about my going with you and about our coming down to those about whom you have spoken of me. When one of heard Jared's intentions, he said unto them, do not worry about that right now, but come with us and you will see our country. If the land in which we live please you, we shall return here and take your family with us. But if our country does not please you, you shall come back to your own home. And the one hour urged Jared to go before one of our children, one of his children, come and talk with us out of his decision. Jared then came out of the cave and went with them, and among them, and they comforted him until they came up to the top of the mountain of the son of Cain. Then the old one said to one to his companion, we have forgotten something by the mouth of the cave, and that is the chosen garment we have brought to clothe Jared with. He then said unto one of them, one of you go back, and we will wait here for you until you come back. Then will we clothe Jared, and he shall be like us, good, handsome, and fit to come with us to our country. Then that one went back. But when he was a short distance off, the old one called to him and said unto him, you stay there until I come back and speak to you. And then he stood still, and the old one went up to him and said to him, one thing we forgot at the cave. It is this. We forgot to put out the lamp that burns inside the cave above the bodies that are in there. Did it and come do it and come back quickly. That one went, and the old one came back to his fellows and to the Jared, and they came down the mountain, and Jared was with them, and they stayed by the fountain of water near the houses of the children of Cain, and waited for their companions until he brought the garment of Jared. Then he who went back to the cave put out the lamp, and came to them, and brought them a portion with him, and showed it them. And when Jared saw it, he wondered at the beauty and the grace thereof, and rejoiced in his heart, believing it was all true. But while they were staying there, three of them went into the house of the son of Cain, and said unto them, Bring us today some food by the water, the fountains of water, for us and our companions to eat. But when the sons of Cain saw them, they were in awe of them, and thought, These men are beautiful to look at. We have never seen such before. So they rose and came with them to the fountains of water to see their companions. They thought them so very handsome that they called them about their place and others to go together and come back to look at these beautiful things, these beautiful beings. Then they gathered round about them, men, and then the old one said unto them, We are strangers in your land. Bring us good food and drink, and bring yourselves and your women, so we can entertain them, refresh them ourselves with you. When those men heard these words of the old one, every one of the sons of Cain brought their wives, and another brought their daughter, and so many women came to them, everyone calling out to Jared, either for himself and for his wife. But when Jared saw what they did, his very soul wrenched him. For them, he would not taste their food or their drink. The old one saw him, and he wrenched himself from them, and said to him, Do not be sad. I am the great elder, as you shall see me do. Do yourself in like manner. Then he spread his hands and took one of the women, and 5 of his companions did the same in front of Jared, that he should do as they did. But when Jared saw them doing their wickedness, he wept and said in his mind, My fathers never acted like this. He then spread his hand and prayed with a fervent heart, and with much weeping he begged God to deliver him from their hands. No sooner did Jared begin to pray, and the old one fled with his companions, and they could not abide in that place in prayer. Then Jared turned about, but could not see them, but found himself standing in the midst of the children of Cain. He then wept and said, O God, do not destroy me, with this race, considering with my fathers who have warned me. For now, my Lord God, I was thinking that those who appear unto me were my forefathers, but I have seen them, but they turned out to be devils who lured me by the way of these beautiful apparitions until I believed them. But now I ask you, O God, to deliver me from this race, amongst whom I am now standing, as you did deliver me from those devils. Send your angels and pull me out of the middle of them. I do have the power. I do not have the power them myself to escape from amongst them. Then Jared had ended his prayer. God sent his angel to the middle of them, and he took Jared and sent him up into the mountain, and showed him the way, and gave he him wise advice, and them delivered from him. The children of Jared were in the habit of visiting him hour after hour to receive his blessings and to ask his advice for everything they did. And when they had work to do, they did it for him. But this time, when they had went to the cave, they did not find Jared, but they found the lamp put out, and the bodies of their fathers thrown about. The voices came from them by the power of God, that said Satan in an apparition has delivered your son, wishing to destroy him as he destroyed this our son Cain. They said also, Lord God, heaven of heaven and earth, deliver your son from the hand of Satan, who produced such a great and false scepter before him. They also spake to another matter by the power of God. But when the children of Jared heard these voices, they feared and stood weeping for their fathers, because they did not know what had happened to him. And they wept for him that day until the setting of the sun. And Jared came with a mournful expression, miserable in mind and body, and sorrowful at having been separated from the bodies of his fathers. But as he came near the cave, his children saw him and ran to the cave to hug his neck, crying and saying to him, O Father, where have you been, and why have you left us? Because we know you did not want to. And they spake, saying, Father, when you disappeared, the lamp of the bodies of our father went out, and the bodies were thrown about, and voices came out of them. Then Jerry heard this. He was sorry, and went into the cave, and there found bodies thrown about, and the lamp put out, and the father themselves praying for his deliverance from the hand of Satan. Then Jared fell upon the bodies, and embraced them, and said, My fathers, though your intercession, God delivered me from the hand of Satan. I beg you to ask God to keep me and to hide me from him to the day of my death. Then all the voices escaped, the voices of our father Adam, who spoke to Jared by the power of God, just as one would speak to his friend, saying, Jared, my son, offer gifts to God for having delivered you from the hand of Satan. And when you bring those offerings, offer them on the same altar on which I offered. Even then you must beware of Satan, for he will delude me many times with his specters, wishing to destroy me. But God delivered me out of his hands. Command your people that they should be on guard against him, and never cast to offer up gifts to God. Then the voice of Adam also became silent, and Jared and his children wondered after this. Then they laid the bodies as they were at first, and Jared and his children stood praying the entire night until the break of day. Then Jared made an offering and offered it up unto the altar as Adam had commanded him. And as he went up to the altar, he prayed to God for mercy and for forgiveness and his sins concerning the lamp going out. Then God appeared to Jared on the altar and blessed him and his children, and accepted their offerings, and commanded Jared to take off the sacred fire from the altar, the lamp, the light of the lamp that shed light on the body of Adam. Then God revealed him the promise that he made unto Adam. He explained to him the 5,500 years and revealed to him the mystery of his coming to the earth. And God said unto Jared, let that fire you have taken from the altar to light the lamp abide with you, and to give you light to the bodies. Do not let it come out of this cave until the body of Adam comes out. But Jared took care of the fire so that it burnt in the lamp. Okay, we're going to stop there. And this ends the segment part 2 of the 5 children of Adam and Eve. Um, their children went through a lot in the beginning to carry the word to our ancestors. And 400 years ago, our ancestors did not appreciate it. They did not care for it. If they cared, they would have kept the commandments. They would have kept the laws. Now we are here in America, and we were seeing our ancestors being ripped apart, and they did not care for the inheritance. And they listened to the descendants of Cain, and they say they care about us, but well, you care about somebody, why you kill them, and why you lie to them, and why you murder them, and hang them on trees. But nevertheless, let us cherish God's commandments that He gave. Now, He gave one commandment to Adam, and He given us two: to love the Lord your God with all your heart, and to love your neighbor as yourself. Now, you should understand now that our ancestors had to face demons, and we today have to face demons that we can see and those we cannot see. Okay? those who are awake can hear me, that this is a spiritual warfare. And let us appreciate the loss of our ancestors and let us practice these things which are innocence, righteousness, and contriteness, forgiveness of our sins. And let's pursue holiness and pursue righteousness as the Lord told our early forefathers to do. Okay, and let's support one another, not tear each other down. Let's support one another, love each other. Okay, stay strong. But the Canaanites, people of Canaan, they are a low race people that kill. There was a murder from the beginning and a murderer still today. Okay, that's why you need to stay away from them. Okay, all the people of Canaan descent, the descent of Canaan. I explained to you earlier who these people are. Okay, stay away from them. Don't intermingle with them. Stay away from these race of people. They are murderers, liars, thieves. Don't intermingle with them. Don't cohabitate with them. I know a lot of you have already. Can't say anything about that. That's between you and God. God would deal with you on that. Because if you're practicing righteousness and doing right things, well, we just wait until the Most High come back. And He said He will set things in order when He returns. So let's let Him set things in order. So let us not try to set people in order. Let us let God set those things in order. Yah, the Most High, He will set them in order when He returns. Okay, so the 5,500 years is almost up. So God will deal with our ancestors, Adam and Eve, us, Abraham, the ones that are living, and the ones that are dead. Okay, there's a lot of things to do. The judgment will come soon. The Lord will place us in the land of our ancestors. The banquet of Abraham and Isaac and Jacob, releasing our descendants out of the cave of treasures. The judgment of the fallen angels also. So we have a lot of things to do. Okay, so live holy, be holy, and pursue holiness and righteousness. God bless you until we meet again. Mitzvah. Have a good day. This ends the segment of the five children of Adam and Eve. Thank you again for listening to 6 Exodus.